Okay, I've gotten the tree out and bare rooted it again. Second time this spring. And as you can tell, on this side, we've got a very promising base, but it could use a little bit of help. On the back, it's really not got nearly as many roots. So this is where I wanted to kind of fill in a little if I can. So we're going to target maybe here and here, or one or the other. We'll make a decision here in a second. I'm going to grab the ones that we just picked and see which ones look best for these two spots. Alright, so my favorite out of these four is this one. Sorry, scratching my head. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Because it's very interesting. It's kind of fat, swollen, and if we could have it coming out of the trunk kind of like this, it would fill in that area really easily, really nicely. And the same goes for here. Pick, if I had to pick one side or the other, it would fill in this gap a little better, I think. But I need to look at the buds. They've not really started to actually bud out. They are getting there, but I think I can probably make it work. I'm gonna go ahead and trim couple of these little branch nubs, I guess you could call them, because it is going to be a very tight fit. But if you've not ever done a thread graft or a root graft before, I will walk you through it step by step. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how to do a thread graft. You can use this for a branch if you desired. I prefer thread grafts to approach grafts because, I mean, you're limited to the time of year when you can do them. It needs to be before buds open, but you can get you can place something exactly where you want it with a pretty high success rate, and I feel like the, what am I trying to say here? I lost my train of thought. Really high success rate. You can get them right where you want them, and they're not really hard to do. So first thing you need to do is you need to find a drill bit that is long enough to go through the trunk at an angle, and that is also just slightly larger than the bottom of the seedling where it will be adhered to the trunk here. So we are wanting somewhere right in here. So I've gotten, no, you can't see. We want somewhere right in here. So I've gotten a drill bit that is maybe one size too small. Let me grab a little bit larger one. There you go. This one's a little bit bigger. If it'll focus. Come now. Okay. It's a little bit bigger, which will actually help a little bit with these buds. I'm going to try to sneak these through. Don't know if we'll be able to or not. Alright, so you've got your tree, you've got your seedling, you've got your drill bit and your drill. You need, let's see, cut paste, and you'll need a tiny bit of wire. The important thing we're starting off with is the angle that we want the root to be exiting the trunk. For that purpose, we're going to both start on the side where we want it to exit, because that is more likely to give a clean exit than, or a clean entry than exit with a drill bit. Secondly, you don't want to start from the other side and come in and see that your hole that you drilled was off, because then you've just drilled a hole into your tree. So you need to be able to keep this pretty firm once you've done this until the seedling has enough time to grow, and as it thickens, it will begin to fuse with the tree right here, and eventually it will fuse completely, and you can just remove the part that's going to be emerging from the other side. So I am going to take a minute here. I'll try to keep where you can see, but I'm going to make sure I got the right angle and the right exit point for my root. Right out in this direction, and we want it to be you know, the same height as the other roots. I'm just looking here because this bends a little bit at the end. I'm trying to figure out the angle that I need to do this in order to get the root itself as close to the trunk as possible. This is okay if it sticks out this far. I just like to get a little bit closer. So I really need to go at almost a 45-degree angle. And before you start to drill, you should make sure that your drill bit's long enough, and this one definitely is. So I'm going to stand up here, and hopefully I don't block the camera too much. Let's get where you can see. Zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to begin my drill. And you want to start very slowly and make sure that you're getting the right angle before you speed up. Try to avoid getting these little feeder roots caught up in it. I'm going to try to fold them out of the way for a minute. Okay, so we'll start. We want to emerge right about here. And then once I've got a little bit of a groove going, I'm going to adjust the angle. If I go up this like too sharp of an angle at first, it may just strip the bark above it. It may try to run on me. So I'm going to first go in just a little bit. And then I'm going to start angling my cut upwards. I'm just going to pause and move my hand really quick so I don't come through the tree and hit my hand. But I do need to be able to hold it firmly. So let's get a little grip on it. Sorry, I'm obstructing the view. This is kind of hard to do and to get it on camera as well. Apologize. Does that work? Yeah, that'll work. Alright, there we went. A little quicker than I wanted to. But as you can see, we have cut all the way through the trunk. So now I'm going to back it out slowly. And we're done with our drill. Next, we're going to clean out this cut on both sides. First, I'm just going to brush it and get some of the loose sawdust off of it. What's really important is going to be the cambium here, and to a lesser extent on the other side. the heartwood, the wood in between doesn't really matter so much. But I'm gonna kind of brush off the loose sawdust, and then I'm gonna come around to this side, which you can see it made a kind of a ragged hole, and so I need to clean that up. We need this to slide through smoothly. This is why I wanted to go slow, because you see it popped through and I wasn't really ready, and so I've got the bark messed up a little more than you want. Ideally you'd have just a perfectly round exit hole, but that's also why you start from the other side, because this wound will heal over, but it's harder to get a graft if this cambium is torn like this. And so if this was on the other side, we would be in a little bit of a pickle. So I'm just going to take a minute and clean this up. This side doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want it as close as you can get. We'll make sure that we cover this area well with cut paste to ensure that it does not dry out. But let me see if I can angle it. If you can't already see, there is a hole. My head out of the way. Straight through. Okay, and this side's pretty rough, I know, but the other side is what is important, and it's good. So, just gonna make sure that especially the top of this hole, there you go, especially the top here, is clean, because that is where we're gonna be pressing this up against in order to get it to fuse. So let me start to thread this through. We're going to be really gentle, and I'm going to back you out a little bit as I go. So we're going to begin threading the seedling through that hole we just drilled, and this is why you want to do this before these buds swell like this, because now several of these are going to get rubbed off when it goes up through the trunk, and that's not ideal. I'm sure there will be some that will survive, but that's why we need to be really gentle. See, these I might as well cut these off, because they're just going to be smushed. But I'll tell you what, just in case, on the off chance that they live, I'm gonna, or at least one of them lives, I'm gonna go ahead and force it through. Some of these roots are trying to get tangled in here. We do not want that. Kind of rotating it a little as I go to try to save some of these buds if I can. These roots are really getting in the way though. There we go. Man. Okay, I've gotten through most of the buds. We can go ahead and thread the rest of this through a little quicker. Okay. And now you can see on the back side if we've got any surviving buds. Several of these were smushed, and you can't. Several of these have been rubbed off. It's not wanting to focus well, but hopefully a few of them survive. So I'm just going to kind of weasel this up. Oh, alright. I can get as close as I want, actually, so that's good. So let's go ahead and rotate it to the angle that we want. And I believe, let me zoom you in to where we're working, right here, that we want it something like, ideally I want it rotated a little this way, but if I do that, it kind of comes over towards this root a little more than I'd like. And if I'm placing this, then I might as well place it just how I want it, you know. So let's see. Will that be okay? I think that will, just like that. Alright, so our next move is going to be to secure this in place. And the easiest way to do that is to take a small piece of wire and we're going to kind of just jam it up under it. You can use a toothpick, you can use anything you want. I just use wire because it's available. And you don't need much, so I'm going to cut just a little piece like this. And then what I'm going to do is pick up the tree, and on the underside, which is right here, once I'm sure I've got it kind of how I want it, I might double this one up. I'm going to stick this wire into that hole. And what I'm doing when I do that is really getting it up in there, and that will keep this from moving. So once we've got it just how we want it, we'll force that wire in there, and that should keep it in place. Now we'll do the same on the other side. Take another piece of wire, rotate the tree around, and then I'll zoom in so that you can see. Right here, gonna do the same thing. I'm folding this wire in half because the drill bit diameter was a little bit larger than the diameter of the tree. And I may actually need more than one piece here, but I'm just going to hold it up to the top, and then I will insert this wire right down in there. And like I said, I'm going to use one more little piece and wedge it down in there. And that should keep this pretty firmly in place. So now all that's left to do is to take some cut paste, and we're going to surround the hole on both sides to really make sure that we cover it. You don't want it to go inside of the cut because that would kind of interfere with the fusion, but we do want it all the way around to try to keep moisture out of this graft union. So I'm kind of going around the outside. I'm not pushing it into the cut. I'm just kind of generously applying it around. Okay. Now, same on the back. Make sure this is on there nice and snug real quick. Okay, and then the same thing on the back. I'm going to turn her around And we're going to do the same thing with the cut paste. You can even roll it a little bit if you want, because again, we're not trying to actually put it inside of this wound, just going along the outside of it. Like that. We'll come again from the bottom. And make sure to get the bottom covered well. And I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see this. You can't really. So I apologize, but it's one of those things that you got to get right. And all I'm doing right here is the same I did on the other side, and on the top of this I'm just applying the cut paste around the wound and not inside of it. So I've got one more little spot right down in here, and I'll just kind of sit this on the edge here and then take a chop, so I can use these tweezers. And we'll just kind of press it into place like that, and flip it back over, make sure that it's covered all the way, and maybe press it some from the bottom as well. Okay, so that is it. Now, the important thing is that that's not allowed to really move while the tree is growing. So what that means is you want to go ahead and put it in the pot that you want to put it in, or in the ground if it's going to grow in the ground. So for me, this is probably going to be in the ground. So I'm going to find a spot and we'll put it out there.